You felt it, a single yawn splitting someone's face, and suddenly your own jaw is aching for no reason at all. But what happens next? That yawn doesn't just stop with you. It ricochets through crowds, leaps between species, and somehow ends up on a soundstage in the California desert where a guitar riff triggers a band member to yawn mid-solo. In 2019, researchers in Japan watched nearly 70% of 4,000 chimpanzees catch yawns from each other, more than most human studies. By 2024, scientists mapped yawning circuits across 30 vertebrate species but still can't agree whether it cools brains, builds empathy, or just resets tired circuits. Recent fMRI scans show contagious yawners light up the same brain region tied to social bonding, suggesting that catching a yawn might be one of the oldest forms of human connection. We catch yawns not because we're tired, but because we're wired to mirror each other, even across species, even across silence, even across sound. So why does one person's yawn become everyone's problem? Picture this: 4,000 chimpanzees sitting in a circle, waiting for their turn to watch another chimp yawn. That's not a wildlife documentary. That's actual science from Japan in 2019. Nearly 70% of them caught the yawn reflex just by watching their troop mates, which is more contagious than most human studies ever record. You felt that involuntary yawn crawl up your throat when someone nearby lets one loose. But imagine that reflex jumping between thousands of primates, stronger, faster than our own species. The researchers weren't just counting yawns, they were mapping something deeper, older. A silent language spoken through mouths opening in unison. If it spreads this powerfully in chimps, what does that say about us? And why does it hit some people harder than others? The answer might be hiding in plain sight. You felt this. That moment when someone yawns and your mouth just opens, like your jaw has its own agenda. Alfredo Hernandez was standing maybe 20 feet from Gary Arce when the first riff tore across the California desert. Just two guys, a couple of amps, and a generator humming like a dying beast. The sun was gone, but the air still held heat, and somewhere in that amber glow, Gary hit a note that bent and wobbled and hung there. Alfredo's eyes watered, not from the dust, not from the music, but because he felt it coming. That yawn, the one that starts behind your teeth and climbs up your skull until your whole face stretches open. He didn't fight it. Nobody does when it's that loud. By the third chord, half the crowd was yawning too. Not a chain reaction you could see coming. Just mouths opening like flowers in time, petals of fatigue and sound and something deeper that wouldn't name itself. Alfredo kept playing his drums, but his jaw stayed loose, ready, waiting for the next one to hit. You know that split second when someone yawns right in front of you, and suddenly your mouth is already opening before you decide to do it. That's your brainstem throwing a party and forgetting to send you the invitation. Neurons fire in the dark, triggered by nothing more than a pair of eyes catching a mouth stretching wide. Milliseconds. That's all it takes for the signal to sprint from retina to jaw, faster than you can second-guess it. The mirror system lights up like a Christmas tree wired by something older than words. Way older. We're talking fish and frogs, lizards and birds, all carrying the same glitch in their wiring. Even fish do it. Gradual mouth gaping, held open, then snap shut. Nobody asked them to. Nobody asked you either. By 2024, scientists had mapped yawning circuits in over 30 vertebrate species, from fish to humans, but still can't agree whether it cools the brain, signals empathy, or simply resets neural circuits during fatigue. The reflex begins in the brainstem, where neurons fire in response to visual cues, activating mirror systems that evolved long before language, and it takes just milliseconds for the signal to travel from eye to mouth. Your visual cortex catches the slack jaw, the opening throat, and before you can stop it, your own face starts mimicking, mouth dropping, lungs drawing that long, slow breath as if you've just seen someone else take the bait on a fishing line. Recent fMRI scans reveal that people who yawn contagiously show heightened activity in the anterior cingulate cortex, an area linked to social bonding and self-awareness, suggesting that being infected by a yawn may be one of the oldest forms of human connection. The signal travels along neural highways that have no GPS, just primal wiring carrying the same command from fish gills to human lips. We catch yawns not because we're tired, but because we're wired to mirror each other, even across species, even across silence, even across sound. But how does a reflex become a language? And why does it die when you name it? A fan in the front row yawns, slow mouth gaping, jaw stretching, the works, and suddenly the air itself feels heavy, like the desert is holding its breath right back. Mario Lally's fingers are mid-solo on his guitar, this soaring molten line that's been climbing higher and higher, and then, out of nowhere, thunk. His pick hits the strings and he just stops. That open-mouthed yawn rips through his face like a punchline, and the rest of Yawning Man follow in perfect, stupid sync. Gary Arce drops his drumsticks. Alfredo Hernandez lets his bass dangle. Even the cacti seem to lean in closer because what just happened wasn't random. It's like the whole band caught the same electrical spike at once, a glitch in the human wiring that short-circuited their entire set. The crowd watches, frozen, this echo of something primal that jumped from one throat to four more without a single word exchanged. And nobody's moving. You want to know what really happened in that silence? It lives in a thin pink strip of brain tissue no wider than a shoelace, your anterior cingulate cortex. Scientists used to think it was just a bystander, but fMRI scans now show it lights up the moment you catch a yawn, firing like a match struck in a dark cave. That little strip, it's the same region that goes quiet in people who can't feel empathy, the spot doctors probe when they want to map out who you really are. So when a stranger's mouth drops open and yours follows, you're not copying, you're connecting. And here's the wild part. We can trace this wiring back further than language, further than tools, further than the first time a human looked another human in the eye and didn't look away. The yawn you just felt, it's older than your name. You're sitting there reading this, and somewhere a chimpanzee in a Japanese research station catches sight of her troop mate yawning, and she yawns too. Nearly 70% of them did in that 2019 study. Not because they were tired, not because they were bored. Your brainstem fires in milliseconds, mirror neurons lighting up like a drumline passing a rhythm from hand to hand. Anterior cingulate cortex humming with the oldest kind of social glue, between species.